Pop culture pastor.
Cody, you know what they don't have in Fromville?
What do they not have in Fromville?
They don't have crypto.
They're not going to become billionaires.
Like if Fromville had crypto, like what would it be called? Like, Dogecoin? Like the internet, it's like a meme, the Dogecoin, but like in Fromville it'd be what? Demon coin? I don't even know.
Whatever those kids chant.
Onkui coin.
Yep.
You bought some Onkui coin? I think that's cursed. I wouldn't buy that. Hello. Welcome. I almost said good morning because that's when we're recording this, but podcasting's weird because when people listen to it, it may be any time of the day.
Greetings and salutations.
They may actually be caught in a weird alternate reality hellscape, and time of day is meaningless.
I feel that most every day.
But at least you have this pod to listen to, and that brings you some comfort. Maybe we're playing on the jukebox in the diner right now.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs. We're watching from season 3. We're up to episode 9.
Episode 9.
Episode 9. And first of all, this is a blanket statement on penultimate episodes. They tend to set up the finales. And so I feel like penultimate episodes traditionally can be somewhat lackluster. Or frustrating.
Like, it kind of depends. Because I definitely have sat through somewhere I'm like, this gave us nothing. And then there's been somewhere I'm like, oh, I'm jazzed for next week. Like, holy cow, this is going to be bananas.
Yeah, there seems to be 2 ways to go about this. One is it's completely setting up the big reveals of the finale. Or 2, there have been some odd TV shows. Like, I think Game of Thrones was maybe like this. Some HBO stuff where the big stuff happens in the penultimate episode, and then the finale is more like an epilogue. And like an epilogue in a book where the big things have already happened, and then the final chapter just deals with like the fallout.
That's the part you skip, kids.
So this is Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs. We are watching from season 3. We're here to recap episode 9. And as always, we start off with, Cody, what the from? What is the what the from moment from episode 9?
Oh, my goodness. So there's so many moments in this show.
Lots of moments.
For me, it's Jade when he's on the ladder.
That is a little freaky.
Because, like, oh, I'm just doing my own thing, and then, boom, creepy doll talking.
Just a man and his doll.
Oh, yeah, I would not have been about that life.
I go back and forth. Clearly, for a good first half of this season, we were meant to think that Jasper was like some evil entity behind all this. And then in the last episode, we got all that got dashed. That Jasper was just Victor. Well, I mean, Jasper exists, but Victor was just misremembering who Christopher had been talking to, not his own ventriloquist dummy, but actually the boy in white who, is going through some things, as we'll talk about.
Changing. We're all changing.
You see, when we reach a certain age, kids, we change a little bit. We start noticing change. Never mind. It's called puberty. Okay, we'll wait till we get there. But I had so many thoughts when the boy in white came on screen. I was like, oh, hello. Let's start with the recap for episode 9, the penultimate episode. And it starts with Boyd and Ellis frantically looking for Fatima.
Good luck.
And Boyd reveals to Ellis that his Parkinson symptoms have been getting worse. I mean, he has no choice. I think he tries to stave him off for a little bit. Like, it's nothing. And then his leg gives out.
It happens to the best of us.
Cody, first question of the episode. Do we think Boyd's symptoms and his disease are real here? Do we think it's Fromville caused? What is it, just more torture to Boyd, or is it actually real? Can they even, with whatever we're at today, theory wise, can these people even experience like debilitating disease like that? Or is this all in their heads?
I was going to say, I've been waiting for someone to have like a stroke.
Yeah, right?
Because they get angry. So angry.
Well, and the anxiety level is off the charts. They've all got high blood pressure. They have to.
But I tend to think that this is more related to maybe a side effect post-worms.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, it makes sense as a torture device for whatever evil runs this place. More of the breaking down of Boyd, because Boyd is a person who wants to be in control. So what better way to torture him than to slowly lose control of his body? And so, yeah, I go back and forth. Like, is this real? Are they actually alive? Can they still get these debilitating diseases? If so, why is nobody else getting anything?
That's a good question.
Does anyone get heartburn in Fromville? I mean, besides Fatima eating moldy radishes.
And other things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. Anyway, they kind of have this great scene where Boyd finally reveals his sickness to Ellis, and Ellis has this look of hurt that his dad kept it from him.
I don't get that at all.
Okay, Cody's angry.
I'm angry with Ellis, but I've been angry with Ellis since season 1. Just because, like, I don't need you around, Dad. You're not my dad. You're just Boyd. And then, now that my wife is missing, I care about you, Dad. Get off my lawn.
It is kind of funny that Ellis is all like, how could you keep this from me, Dad? How could you keep this disease you have that makes you seem weak from me? And be like, oh, Gen Alpha. Like, you don't even know, man. The dads back in the day, you wouldn't have known. They'd just die one day.
Yeah.
And their doctor would say, oh, they've had this disease for years. And we're like, yeah, this is how men used to be.
Some of them still are.
Boyd, just a traditional guy. But yeah, it's good acting though, because Ellis, like, you can just tell from the actor, the look on his face that he's hurt. And they kind of have this great scene where Boyd reveals that and Ellis shows that, and it's all to be interrupted by a monster who starts to taunt Boyd from outside. And Boyd gets to have this moment of like, hold me back, which I thought was hilarious, because like they knock, like one of the monsters knocks on the window, and it's like, Boyd, are we having a tough day? And he's like, hold me back, son. He's pulling out his gat. Man, if he'd held that gun sideways, I would have just lost it. It would have been hilarious, because he was really looking to, throw down with this monster. But it's like a hold me back moment, and just kind of funny.
I thought it was nice of the monster to check in.
The taunting is interesting from the monsters. Like, that's been a thing from the beginning. They clearly like to taunt. They're so high school.
Very much.
Meanwhile, Elgin, who I think I'm going to start calling Smelgin.
Oh, rude.
He's particularly stinky this episode. He's trying very hard to convince Fatima that his foray into human trafficking is for her own good.
It might be.
Which...
It might not be.
Granted, is there a possibility that it could be? Sure. I don't know where I'm at on that. I think I'm like 90-10 at this point that it's not. But yeah, it's Yeah, he gives her a jar of blood to drink. So yeah, sure, he's pretty legit at this point.
It's a jar of his own blood, so very nice of him. He literally broke into the supply closet and found a blood kit to withdraw his own blood to make sure it was clean. She's not getting dirty blood.
All right, Smelgen. I didn't know we were defending Smelgen.
I have said for ages now, Elgin is the key.
You've been very consistent on this, and I have a partial fromspiracy when it comes to Elgin, because I was just noticing something as I was watching this episode, and again, this whole thing where he's kind of like over the top nice, and I don't think it's an act. Like, I think he's hearing voices, just like Sarah was, but in a different kind of channel. Like, so he sees the kimono lady, and he's getting the Polaroid pictures. And it really is, you'd be hard pressed to find two less threatening characters as far as their personalities than Sarah and Elgin. And these are the two that seemingly maybe the evil in Fromville has chosen to manipulate, which is interesting to me. I think it's an interesting commentary on the power that is gained from the corruption of the innocent. Because at the end of the day, I don't think Sarah or Elgin are bad.
My dear friend Victor told me Sarah's the scariest thing in that place, and so she might be bad. She might be.
I think she's just hardcore. And if you're not hardcore if you don't, the rent is due. I think I messed up that line. Let's go to Donna and the townsfolk. Donna had threatened last time we saw her to tattle on Fatima.
Oh, that's a bit rude.
But as this episode starts, she's getting in her feels, right? She's walking around hippie house. She's remembering all these great Fatima moments, which I don't know if we needed.
Especially since a chunk of them was Fatima grows the best devil's lettuce.
You know, she's kind. She's a calming presence. She grows the drugs. So, you know, yeah, Fatima. Everyone loves Fatima. And were we aware of that? Did we know that?
We knew she had a stash.
We knew she had a stash. I didn't know she was the one growing them.
Well, someone had to.
Okay.
That wasn't showing up at the diner.
Fatima's like Pablo. The Pablo of the Fromverse there in Hippie House. Anyways, I thought the whole thing was weird because there's so many characters. I think it's hard for them to really like flesh out characters up to this point to make us super duper care about all of them. And Fatima is one of those ones that I'm not sure a lot of viewers actually deeply care about. And so to see the montage of the old memories, I was like, all right. It was like, you know, that every once in a while, probably once per season, Friends would have an episode where it was all flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, this is all of Joey's best moments episode. And you flashbacked all these old ones, except for like, you know, they did like what, 8-9 seasons.
Yeah. So for me, I think if this had happened during season 1, I think there would have been a lot more of endearment towards Fatima. Just because like she takes in Julie. She's helpful with Victor, who is an interesting duck in season 1. And she seems more empathetic, but post-killing Tilly, I don't know if we have all the feels.
She does, and I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek because they have done enough of her with her character to say, like, basically, Donna is going through it and maybe going back on her promise to tattle because of what she says. She says, quote, because of what she means to people here. Her spirit, her light. I don't think people could take it. I don't think I can take it. And we've seen Donna kind of been increasingly more emotional and maybe close to cracking, So by the time she goes to talk to Boyd, it's unsurprising that she backs off her threat to tattle. And honestly, Elizabeth Saunders' work as Donna in the last handful of episodes has been pretty excellent.
I was going to give her an Emmy nom.
Like, full stop. The first 2 seasons of From, while enjoyable to me, I wasn't sitting here going, man, there's some great acting going on. That it's not that there wasn't. It just wasn't sticking out to me. Whereas this season, Harold Perrineau, Elizabeth Saunders in particular, David Alpay when he's on screen.
I was going to say Alpay for sure.
Robert Joy and Scott McCord as Victor. Like, oh man, there's some really like nuanced, great acting going on. And I just think that's kind of been I just wanted to mention that because I think it's been a sort of a linchpin of season 3 so far. So she goes, Donna goes to Boyd and, is going to tell him. I love how, first of all, she just kind of barges into the sheriff's office.
It's how she rolls.
In the middle of this kind of intense conversation between Ellis and Boyd. And she just barges in and be like, you know what? I've been thinking I'm not going to say anything. And she says this light. And then she sees the look on her face. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on? Which, that's so Donna.
Get your nose out of this, Donna.
No, and I mean that she instantly recognized as soon as she looked them in the face, like, hey, what are you guys talking about?
Well, I get it, but like not everything involves you, Donna.
Listen, Donna's the best leader there, man. She's better than Boyd.
I like to think this is Donna from that 70s show.
She's just all grown up.
Yep.
And, this is the part where things go bad for Donna because she gets the bad news that Fatima has disappeared. But then, because this is what people do at the sheriff's office, Sarah barges in and says, 1, her voices are back. Oh no.
That happens.
And 2, her sources are telling her, I like to think they're sources. Fatima didn't run away. She's been kidnapped. Dun, dun, dun.
She ain't wrong.
Her voices are very dramatic, by the way, because she says that Fatima is nearby, but they won't. The voices are saying you won't find her till too late. And then the voices are laughing.
Chuckle.
That's wild. I mean, so Sarah is basically, her voice is basically like the phone calls to Jim.
From Thomas.
They're being taunted.
Yep.
So Cody, here's my question, because there seems to be, especially in this episode, we're getting more of this clear cut. There are different factions of forces working in Fromville. Do you believe there are competing forces running Fromville? And if so, why are they jerks? Or is it all just this evil presence trying to throw them all off the course?
So I think there's multiple entities that have competing wants and needs in Fromville. I think there's definitely a group that is strictly pure evil. The creepy monsters that come out at night, that taunt and stuff. But then I also think that maybe the kids aren't necessarily bad, but they might not necessarily be pure of motive.
Yeah.
And then whatever is projecting during the daytime, I don't know. That's weird to me.
Well, it's interesting because we and a lot of From viewers have been all over Jim. We're like, why is Jim the worst? The whole season, we're like, Jim sucks. But like his whole thing to Tabs when he's being kind of jerky is this it's might be feeding you all this and it's just to keep you busy. Like there's no shortage of characters who seem to be in the camp of there's nothing good coming from here. Nothing wants to help you here. Randall, Jim would have an unexpected ally in Randall.
Well, no one has an ally in Randall.
And so, true. But maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. I don't know.
Maybe.
Boyd and Donna call a town meeting so they can organize a search party for Fatima. Boyd also takes the time to give them a fairly decent motivational speech. Lee Greenwood was not played.
Shocking.
But it would have been good if that was in the background.
Where was the jukebox when you needed it?
It would have been amazing if all the jukeboxes in the diner started, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And then Boyd's out there dropping F-bombs. I think that's hilarious too. Like he's just giving this motivational speech, and I don't know about you, but when someone drops the more severe expletives, it tends to take me out of the moment.
Nope. That's how you know he's serious.
We do know was he giving the middle finger too? Am I remembering that right?
I feel like there was a scene.
He's like, he was in that whole scene where he's giving that speech and dropping the words and giving the middle finger. He's like that meme of the dude in ninth place who's got the champagne and he's spraying all over that place. And as the picture pulls out, you see he wasn't even first, but he's like going crazy. That was Boyd. Boyd is like the living representation of that meme. It's like, Boyd, things are not going well, but you're just like, we own these dudes.
He ain't wrong.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe.
So let's go to Julie and Ethan. They return from the ruins. Julie gets checked out by the From Med team.
That med team.
Yeah. And Jim, like really, Jim's going through it. Because as I said, we've been kind of hating on Jim the whole season because he's been kind of a jerk.
He might be the hero this episode.
But yeah, he's starting to turn a corner. He goes to talk to Randall, and then at first you're worried. You're like, oh no, this dude's going to go, jerk face on Randall, who's also a jerk face. And then we're going to have a jerk face break in the continuum. And it's going to blow up. But he goes to Randall to talk about what they saw. And the Jim Randall scene is really kind of affecting Jim, resembling a dad, and Randall also having turned over a new leaf kind of recently, just kind of levels with him despite having his own things going on, which seems to be his current setting. And he says, if this is your version of the big bad dad routine, I'm not in the expletive mood.
Him and Boyd.
Yeah, but then that's like just the outer. That is the outer Randall, because once Jim kind of pushes through the outside, Randall gives maybe the best look on life, the best outlook maybe anyone on this show has ever done.
Randall's basically an ogre.
Yep.
He's an onion. Yeah, there's layers.
Yes, he's very Shrek. He says this. He says, go get in the van and teach your kid how to drive, because there is expletive you can do about the rest. None of us are getting out of here alive. Now that seems very, it seems very bleak, but look at what he's saying. Randall's offering very good advice for people in Fromville and people in the real world. Everything he says here is true for us in reality. The little things are important, because when you die, those are the missed moments. Those will be the big things on your mind, not what we think are the big things now. And Randall's just like, I'm like, oh, Randall just putting out wisdom.
Call him Solomon.
He's like Aristotle. So there's a bulk of the episode where we focus, like, because we're going back and forth between all the little paired up search parties. So we get Donna and Acosta.
Ugh.
And
I might puke.
Your anger towards Acosta is hilarious. I love that. I am still kind of firmly in the camp that I think Acosta's valuable.
Valuable to the monsters at night.
I think that people with her attitude are actually going to be valuable. I think she's like Boyd.
I think she is a loose cannon that you can't trust.
Yeah, she's got to fall in line for sure. Acosta is asking Donna more questions than my 6-year-old does. And Donna again shows her leadership abilities by being firm with her, but also relenting and giving a little bit, saying, hey, let's find Fatima, and then I will take some time to answer your questions. Which, again, Donna's the best leader in Fromville, and for my money.
Season 3, Donna has taken the lead.
Boyd and Kenny are paired up, so Boyd can ask. What? It's
That's
nice.
precious.
Yeah, it was good. It was like where we went back to season 1, and Boyd asked Kenny to be ready to succeed him when his disease gets worse. I guess sheriffs are like nobility. Is that how that works? They can just pick their successors?
Well, in Fromville, you can, because basically the sheriff is the head honcho, the king of Fromville. And so you get to name it and claim it, who you want to follow your lead. And I'm not choosing Ellis.
Now, he married the town drug dealer. You can't let him be sheriff. No, Kenny continues to be the best dude in Fromville because he says, no, I'm not gonna be the sheriff, but I'll be your deputy again. So, like, look what he does. He basically says yes, but still allowing for his respect of Boyd to show through. Which I thought it was just really sweet. And Kenny is impossibly awesome.
Good guy, Kenny.
I don't know how Kenny can be this good still. Losing both parents. I mean, he's like had arguably the worst time of anybody left in Fromville.
Boyd is right behind him. Lost his wife, got the worms, and then lost his daughter-in-law.
I don't think there's any dewormer in Fromville.
Probably not.
Have we looked around Tien Chen's kitchen?
Or was there any in the ambulance?
Jade and Henry are paired up, which perfection. I did the kiss. I kissed my hand and
chef's kiss.
I chefed kiss, even though you can't see that in this medium. But of course, that's a great pairing. Henry actually seeks Jade out to ask him about any advice of helping mend the distance between him and Victor. And Jade, who was still a little distracted by his shock of falling off the ladder after seeing the vision of Christopher and Jasper, he kind of scoffs at him first, and then he gets like serious. So Jade's been like one of the best sources of wisdom for the people in Fromville, and he says, stop trying to fix Victor and instead embrace him for who he is now. And he uses a Tarzan anthology. He's not your kid anymore. He's that guy who grew up here. Got super post-traumatic stress, basically. But is careful to say he's not broken. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Which is deep and smart and intelligent. I don't know if that's true. I mean, clearly everyone there is pretty being broken, and again and again and again. That's part of the torture.
Maybe not broken in the way of like you can't ever reestablish a relationship with him again.
Yeah. Ellis gets the worst pairing possible by getting his wife's kidnapper, Smelgen.
He might have the best pairing possible.
And Smelgen is like, he is giving like criminal energy when they go back to the crime scene. So what are we looking at here, fellas? Who did this? What happened?
He's asking some good questions.
Oh, man. This was like, this actor was very good in this episode and these scenes. And I'm having trouble finding his name because there's a ton of people in this show. But the actor who plays Elgin, who I'll refrain from calling Smelgen right now because I'm praising his acting all these scenes with Ellis are just so good because he's so nice. He's so kind. All of that pours through Elgin's character. And yet in all of these scenes with Ellis, he has like this underneath menace going on, which was very affecting. And he's trying to convince him, like he's trying to drop all these things. Like, well, maybe it's a good thing that Fatima's not here. Maybe it'll be in her best interest.
Nathan D. Simmons,
you're the man.
He is.
It's not your fault that the writers turned Elgin into Smelgin.
Or that he is the key to everything.
Or he's the key to everything. I'm not willing to strike any possibilities off right now. But he's wonderful in these scenes with Ellis. Like, again, the acting has been really so good at times in season 3. I think that's been the best part of season 3. There's so much tension here. Elgin, Ellis obviously isn't going for it. And he's starting to get suspicious. And so Elgin kind of gives up trying to connect with Ellis in that way. And probably leads him further away from Fatima.
I will say that it's about time Ellis pick up some of his dad's sheriff detecting prowess.
Yeah, because Ellis you could tell he's getting suspicious, but also he's kind of clueless. Meanwhile, during all this, Fatima is trying to facilitate her own escape. She finds a hatch in her hole that definitely probably doesn't lead to a Scottish man entering numbers into a computer every 108 minutes.
Yep.
This is by the producers of Lost, by the way. But no, this is a different kind of hatch, and I'm afraid about what's underneath it. I was like, the whole time I'm like, no, I hope she doesn't get that open.
I had the gif of the old man from Pet Cemetery. Don't go down that road.
Don't go down that road. Anyways, kimono lady shows up, and clearly she was concerned about Fatima going down there as well, because she creepily kind of stops her. Which I still like. Listen, I'm done with any theories with kimono lady. I have no idea what that's all about. I'm just waiting for them to tell me.
You may find out in the finale.
That was foreboding. Julie, let's go to Julie and Tabs, because they're paired up as well. The female half of the Matthews family. And they're kind of bonding in this episode as they're out searching for Fatima. And Julie is, weirdly been deflecting about her time in the time loop. Like, does it seem like she's been misleading people because she doesn't want to maybe fully let on?
Yeah, she definitely is withholding information.
Yeah.
The purpose of withholding, I'm bamboozled by.
She does kind of confide the most in this episode with her mom. And she starts telling her about what happened in her quote unquote dream, which she's clearly presenting it as a dream, which, she knows it wasn't. But she does get close to telling her truth, like, that she was there. It felt like she was there physically, not mentally, which, I think you were, girl. And Tabitha also shares her concerns with her daughter. And as they're having this kind of come together moment, she spies an Onkui kid who is beckoning her to follow her through the woods. The Onkui kid leads them to the underground cellar. In there, they find Victor doing his best Blair Witch impersonation.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was a little disturbed. I was like, what is... No! And then she gets close to Victor, and Victor starts talking. I was like, oh, he was just standing there all foreboding.
So I will say, when they find the alternate garden, and there was the weird stick figures, and weird sculptures and statues, some of that had Blair Witch vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, is the Blair Witch a part of this group?
Victor's having a tough season, man. And earlier in this episode, he was throwing all his belongings out of Hippie House.
Well, I would have too.
He was throwing a giant tantrum. Ends up like, hey, does anyone got an axe? I need an axe. Which really disturbs Acosta.
I would have given him an axe.
I wouldn't have. From the moment he starts asking for that axe, I'm like, oh, Victor, don't you do it. Don't you do it, Victor. And my suspicions were right, because he gets the axe and he goes straight to the faraway tree and he starts chopping. And I'm like, no, Victor. I wanted to like reach through the TV screen, but luckily I didn't have to, because the boy in white shows up and he goes, no.
So it was at this point that I'm like, if nothing from this place is good, why are you listening?
Yeah. Well, but also, is that the boy in white? My first reaction is like, oh, when child actors grow up. Oh, it's the child actor hit puberty. And we're just not going to say anything, but clearly no.
We will say something.
This was meant to be something we noticed, because clearly that's a different boy in white.
Mm-hmm.
And Victor's like says what we are all thinking. Boy in white, you look a little different. Who are you? And the boy in white says everything's changing, which is a little ominous. And I'm a little creeped out. But the boy in white, well, Cody, where are we at with the boy in white? Because I honestly don't know.
Yeah, it seems okay. Like,
are we still trusting the boy in white as a good force?
I think a better force than the things at night.
Yeah, I mean the boy in white isn't actively trying to kill anyone, so there's that. Although he did push Tabitha out of the lighthouse.
Who amongst us wouldn't have?
Tabs, meanwhile, is trying to calm Victor down in the cellar. But when she touches him, she gets flashbacks or memories or glimpses of the night Victor's mom left and what happened to her.
Reincarnation.
And the viewer is clearly supposed to come to some conclusions, which I think is a little too convenient. The viewer, they're really trying to infer that Tabitha maybe has a personal stake in Victor's family, and that we're witnessing her beginning to remember it. Credits happen right at the end of this, but Cody, do you believe the showrunners in this way? Is this a trick? Is she just seeing a glimpse of someone else's memories or is she somehow related to Victor's family?
So, I mean, those are the two definite possibilities. I think there's a strong likelihood that she will believe that she is connected to Victor's family.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not going to say that if this show goes on how many ever more seasons, that by the end of it, it'll be something else. Because it was during this episode I had a different Fromspiracy. And it wouldn't. You won't know if it's true or not until like the very end of the show. But it'd be one that would be crazy cool if they did. But I doubt that they did it.
We're already tearing our Fromspiracy down?
Yes.
You haven't even told us yet.
So, Fromspiracy.
Well, you lost the fanfare.
Yeah, I did. That this is all in Stephen King's head.
That would be amazing.
That is what I am choosing to believe.
The final shot of this entire series, it pulls back to show Stephen King in a writing chair in an attic in Maine. And it's just him typing, and he's like, whew, that was a fun story.
That was.
Credits. That'd be amazing. I'm here for that, actually.
Where did Tabitha exit the lighthouse at?
Camden, Maine.
Camden, Maine. Where is the villain Acosta from? Camden, Maine.
Well, clearly, Maine is connected.
Yes.
In some fashion.
when Victor had the axe, I'm like, here's Victor. Yeah, I think there is enough there that can't be ruled out.
I mean, it's not the worst Fromspiracy.
It might be the most fun I've ever made up.
Yeah. Who's the winner of the episode?
Let's see. Do I dare go this way? I think I'd go Jim.
Jim.
He got redeemed this episode because he backed Tabitha a few times. He wasn't trying to mansplain. He got through with Randall, and Randall got through with him. Jim actually had things to do this episode.
It's true. It usually is a bad sign. He had Tilly vibes of like, oh, look how helpful and nice Jim's being now. All of a sudden. But yeah, Jim was actually resembling a dad. He says it to Randall, I believe. He says, like, I haven't been doing a very good job. After Randall gives him the big bad dad line.
You bum.
And so, yeah, Jim seems a lot more likable, or it's turning in a likable direction. The winner of the episode I have here in my notes is the boy in white, because the boy in white's just out there doing his own thing. He seems to be in a separate entity of some sort.
Who can appear during the daylight.
Yeah, who could just do whatever he wants to do. And yeah. And now he just looks different. He's growing up. Yeah. Changes. He's experiencing changes. Everything's changing. Who's the loser of the episode, Cody?
Probably.
Come on, just say it. It's Smelgen.
No. Fatima. She's stuck in a cellar, and people are all around looking for her.
She drinks the jar of blood, and then immediately the thing inside her stomach starts kicking around, and I'm just like, this is not good.
Nope.
None of this is good.
Creepy kimono lady appears.
In my head, we've already lost Fatima. Like, she's gone. I'm already trying to stave off my grief by just saying she's gone. Acceptance. I've skipped to acceptance in the stages of grief with Fatima. My loser of the episode is Smelgen, because I feel like people are going to find out eventually, and I feel like Elgin's being played. I don't think he's a bad person, but everyone's going to think he's bad, much like Sarah. And again, I go back to, I think that's intentional. That the evil forces of Fromville would intentionally target like the sweetest of the people stuck there. People think Sarah is a monster, and she's
is
actually kind of sweet. Cody, let's quit being mean to Sarah. Sarah and Smelgen, they're gonna have to live together. After all this, they're gonna have to be in the pariah house. It's time for Rip. The rest in peace segment for episode 9. Cody, I need you to little background choir. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say I don't have it today.
We are here to pay tribute and remember Victor's stuff. Victor's stuff, who gave its life to Victor's frustrations about not being able to figure things out. And he threw it all down there. I'm assuming the stuff that wasn't broken will get claimed by some other member at Hippie House. Maybe some of it will be salvaged. But earth to earth, ashes to ashes, crap to crap. All Victor's stuff.
Gone, but not forgotten.
Actually, I had this moment as he was doing this. I'm just like, dude, he's having a real come to Jesus moment, because he's literally get rid of your stuff and follow me, Victor.
Getting rid of all those worldly possessions.
Yeah. How many out of Victor's useless stuff out of 10 are you giving this episode?
I'm giving it 8 of Victor's worldly treasures.
Yeah, there you go. Worldly treasures. 8. Yeah, it's a solid 7.5 or 8. I think this episode was not too bad. Clearly kind of a setup episode for the finale, which I have very good news. This is exciting, Cody.
Oh, this is happening.
Yeah. We are going to drop the finale watch along on a different day. We're going to speed up the process. This whole season, we've been kind of lagging a week behind when the episode drops, just to give us more time to get more depth into our analyzation and how we're viewing the story. And we know that we're taking up a different space in the From fan mind because there's all these YouTube videos that drop like the night of.
Bananas.
Like they're just rushing it out there and just trying to capitalize on whoever gets there first. We're trying to give you quality stuff.
Yes. Don't give in to FOMO.
No FOMO. But I will tell you, we are not going to wait as long here. We're going to drop our finale watch along pod on Thanksgiving morning. So wherever you're going on Thanksgiving, when you're in the car, make sure and download the new watch along so you can listen on the way in case you don't have service and you're in Fromville.
Yes.
And if a tree blocks your path on the way to Grandma's house,
it's too late.
Turn around. Don't get out. Don't look at the crows. But yeah, so we'll drop that on Thursday for you.
Awesome.
All right, everybody, until Thursday, we will see you soon for what is sure to be a bonkers finale of From season 3. We'll see you then.